Police Brigadier General Rolando Genaro E. Ilagan, Regional Director, Police Regional Office 9, Officers and Men.
O, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
Got your 2-dose vaccination? Present your vaccination card and enjoy more and more perks for you. Free KCC bonus card membership or free KCC bonus card renewal. Get 100 peso shopping reward for your next shopping using your KCC bonus card to enjoy more choices at KCC department store. And wait, there's more from our KCC participating stores. Nakapabakuna na, panalo ka pa. Visit promo booth at basement level and KCC participating stores for more details. Vaccine win in KCC, kaya magpabakuna na.
Huy, noon samang ka. Nagbugot lagi ka. Kabalon ako. Ikapoy ka no. Sakit imong lawas tungod sa sobrang trabaho? O sakit imong ulo tungod sa stress? Pahuway una. Ginhawag lawom, ug hiluta ang imong ulo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Kay mausab ni akong ginahimo. Maong akong taas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break sa
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
RPN Radio Philippines Network. Radyo Ronda. D-Triple X Zamboanga. Kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Good evening, I'm Pia Ontiveros. Welcome to Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Tonight on the program, as Metro Manila shifts to a lower alert level this weekend, health groups warn there could be another COVID-19 surge as the holidays near. Presidential aspirant Senator Ping Lacson saying he felt insulted as he reveals details on why unity talks with the team of Vice President Leni Robredo failed. And an unbelievable experience, 90-year-old William Shatner, or Captain Kirk to Star Trek fans, becomes the oldest person to travel to space. Metro Manila will further ease restrictions beginning Saturday as it shifts to alert level 3. What establishments will be allowed to operate? Our Tristan Adala joins us live. Tristan, what did mayors and healthcare groups say about this?
The Metro Manila Mayor support the decision of the IATF to downgrade the current alert level to 3 with more businesses that can be open. They also appeal for a more calibrated and gradual approach to prevent another COVID-19 surge as Christmas season nears.
COVID-19 cases, healthcare utilization rate, the high vaccination rates, and the need to further open up the economy are some of the reasons why Metro Manila mayors are in favor of downgrading the capital region's alert level. Under alert level 3, establishments are allowed to operate at 30% indoor venue capacity and 50% for the outdoor venue capacity. Venues for meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions, or MICE, are allowed to operate. Social events, tourist attractions, amusement and theme parks are also permitted to open. Recreational venues and cinemas will also be allowed to operate. Alert Level 3 also authorizes limited physical classes for tertiary level and vocational courses. Also allowed are in-person religious gatherings, wakes, and funerals. Licensure exams, personal care services, dine-in services, fitness studios and gyms, film and TV production are permitted as well. There will be no face-to-face classes for elementary and high school levels under Alert Level 3. Contact sports, concerts, casinos, horse race, dine-in services, fitness studios and gyms, film and TV production are permitted as well. There will be no face-to-face classes for elementary and high school levels under Alert Level 3. Contact sports, concerts, casinos, horse racing, cockfighting, and gathering of people not living in the same household are prohibited. In San Juan City, Mayor Francis Zamora says downgrading the alert status should be gradual amid improving situation.
Ayoko namang tumalon from alert level 4 to alert level 2 sapagkat yan po ay magbibigay daan sa mas napakaraming mga industriya at negosyo na magbubukas na maaring sa ngayon ay pwede nating i-consider ang high risk pa. So I would rather really do it slowly. Nakikita natin na yung pagpapatupad ng Alert Level 4 ay talagang gumagana sapagkat ang numero ay hindi magsisinungaling. We base our decisions on numbers and we are seeing a sharp decline in the number of active cases, and I believe that it is time to downgrade to Alert Level 3.
From over 1,000 COVID-19 cases 2 weeks ago, the current active cases in Navotas City dropped to over 200. Mayor Toby Chanco says it's a good indicator why a shift in alert level system can be considered.
Yung ayuda kasi will never be enough. We will have to help them. Yung granular lockdown namin, konting-konti na lang . Kahit nga yung isolation facility namin, halos basyo na. So it's a good sign. Kaya lang, the good sign doesn't mean walang chance ang...
Meantime, healthcare groups warn that the easing of restrictions may lead to rising cases as the Christmas season approaches.
Apprehensive, no, doon sa pagbaba kasi syempre based doon sa previous na mga experience natin, yung pagluluwag na naman ng mga measures natin ay mga ngahulugan ng muling pag-akyat ng kaso ng COVID-19, no? So medyo kami ay talagang medyo worried, no, dahil sa baka biglang tumaas na naman ang kaso, lalo-lalo na itong dadating na Pasko.
Healthcare groups add that while the government must be ready with the necessary intervention should there be any additional or new COVID-19 surge. Health reform advocate Tony Liachon said in a tweet that while we may need to live with the virus and massive lockdown should be avoided, the government or local government units must work double time in order to reduce the daily COVID-19 cases. Back to you, Pia.
Tristan Nadalo there reporting. The Transportation Department defending the relaxing of quarantine rules for international arrivals. Fully vaccinated passengers from abroad no longer need to undergo facility-based quarantine, provided that they are negative in RT-PCR tests 72 hours prior to their flights. To be clearer, the passengers must come from countries included by the government in the so-called green list. A transportation official says the decision was well thought of and based on recommendations from experts from the Health Department. Health Secretary Francis. For some travelers, Lucas said he was not consulted.
Ito ay masusing pinag-aralan at alam ito ng DOH. In fact, silang pinagmulan ng mga desisyon kung bakit natin tinunguhan itong mga IATF na solutions na ito. Ang mga DOH expert ay na-consult at siyempre, palagay ko naman alam din ng puno ng DOH yan.
Malacanang echoes the Transportation Department's sentiments. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says the decision was based on science. He adds the list of green countries will be revised. A severe tropical storm Maring leaving a trail of devastation in many parts of the country. Disaster management officials report at least 19 people dead, while 13 others still missing. Affected areas include Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, Pangasinan, La Union, Benguet, and Palawan. The NDRMC says it also is looking into reports of 11 more deaths in Cagayan and Benguet. Besides these, 3 injured persons and 1 still missing. Maring left agricultural losses worth 1 billion pesos in the Ilocos region, Cagayan Valley, Mimaropa, Western Visayas, and Cordillera. Coming up on Newsnight, Vice President Leni Robredo lays down her plans for the country if elected to the highest post next year. Find out how she would deal with the pandemic and what her stance is on China. And another presidential aspirant, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno, apologizes to Robredo. Details after the break. Stay tuned.
Nakasanayan.
Naka 24 months ka na sa pag-ibig.
May panghulog na ako sa motor.
Uy, bagong motor!
Gagawa ng hakbang para mapaghandaan ng forever.
Ingat ka ha?
At harapin ang bukas ng may maaasahan. Simulan mo na ang forever mo ngayon. Fund your forever with Pag-ibig Fund.
Register today! Using Doña Elena olive oil helps elevate the spices and flavors of my dishes, making their aroma and taste more delicious. I use Doña Elena not just for the restaurant, but also for cooking at home. For good quality oil, use it more at home because you are serving your family. Because you and your family deserve only the best.
Make it olive oil, make it Doña Elena.
From Flyers.
The COVID-19 pandemic changes how politicians will campaign and Filipinos will vote next year. The filing of certificates of candidacy from president down to municipal councilor, as well as filing of nomination and acceptance, will be from October 1 to 8, including weekends. The campaign period for president, vice president, senator, and party list groups is from February 8 to May 7. Authorities will enforce social distancing during political rallies if ever these events are allowed. Campaigning is prohibited on April 14 and 15 in observance of Maundy Thursday and Good Friday. On Election Day, voters will be subject to health screening first when they arrive at polling precincts. Those with questionable health conditions will vote in isolation polling places. The Constitution sets the elections for the second Monday of May, which falls on May 9, 2022.
Welcome back to Newsnight. I'm Pia Ontiveros, Newsnight, of course, where we go above and beyond the headlines. I'm Pia Ontiveros. News overseas now. The United States is easing travel restrictions for fully vaccinated visitors from Canada and Mexico beginning November. That is welcome news for many hit hard by border closures that have been in place for over 18 months. CNN's Rafael Romo reports from Mexico City.
Families with relatives on both sides of the border could not be happier. Closing the border more than 18 months ago meant people belonging even to the same family were separated by the pandemic, and businesses on both the American and Mexican sides have taken a big hit. According to officials, the reopening is thanks to a joint effort by Mexico and the United States to improve vaccination levels. Mexico's health department announced Tuesday that 75% of the country's adult population, nearly 67 million people, have received at least one dose of any of the different coronavirus vaccines. And according to health authorities, vaccination levels are as high as 95% in places like here in the capital. President Andrés Manuel López Obrador reacted to the announcement of the border reopening, saying that it was the result of hard work made by the governments of both his country and the United States.
We're going to have normality at our northern border. Mexico has made many efforts and procedures with the United States government. There have been many meetings with the goal of achieving the reopening of the border, and at the same time we decided to vaccinate in the border areas to help bring about this agreement.
And let's remember that three top U.S. officials, including Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Attorney General Merrick Garland, and Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, met with President López Obrador here in Mexico City on Friday. The meeting was about a new bilateral security agreement, but there were other issues discussed as well. The Mexican government announced last month that more than 3.8 million people who live in 45 cities on 6 different states along the U.S. border had been vaccinated. Mexican Foreign Minister Ebrard says improved vaccination levels meant a faster border reopening.
The vaccination levels in Mexico, especially in the northern region, but also in the rest of the country, are very elevated or comparable with those of the United States. I will even say that there are cities in Mexico that have a higher vaccination levels than those in the United States.
And President López Obrador had pushed since mid-September for a full reopening of the border given the improved vaccination levels. American border towns were also pushing for reopening because they have lost millions of dollars in the more than 18 months they haven't had any Mexican shoppers spending money in their businesses. Rafael Romo, CNN, Mexico City.
Back here at home, a survey shows 45% or nearly 5 in 10 Filipinos agreeing that it is dangerous to publish anything critical of the Duterte administration. The latest social weather station survey also says 29% are undecided, 19% disagree, and 6% strongly disagree. This means the net agreement score is now plus 26, which is classified as moderate. This is a 6-point rise from the moderate plus 20 in June. The survey also shows 42% or 4 in 10 Filipinos agreeing that they can say anything they want openly and without fear, even if it is against President Duterte. 22% say otherwise. This gives a net score of a moderate plus 20, which is a slight increase from the plus 18 in June. The survey was conducted among 1,200 adults nationwide from September 12 to 16. Presidential aspirant Senator Ping Lacson reveals details of his second meeting with Vice President Leni Robredo in a bid to have a unified opposition. Days before the filing of candidacies, Lacson says he and running mate Senate President Tito Soto met with Robredo together with Liberal Party stalwart Senator Frank Dulon. Soto says it was the Vice President's camp that sought a meeting. Lacson says Dulon insinuated a possible Robredo-Soto tandem.
Came the second meeting, doon ko talaga na-confirm na yung unification effort is only to unify under them. Nothing more. Using hand motion, si Senator Dillon mismo, tinuro niya si Vice President Leni saka si Senate President Tito Soto na sila yung magkatandem in my face, parang effectively telling me in my face to withdraw and mag-create ng bagong tandem between the Vice President and the Senate President. So sa akin, when I was told that, I felt insulted.
Earlier, Lacson offered Robredo a so-called unification formula against the Duterte administration for the 2022 elections, but Robredo rejected the proposal since it would demand that candidates eventually withdraw from the race to support the leading opposition bet in the final stretch of the campaign. Now, Vice President Leni Robredo gives a preview of how she will lead the country amid the pandemic if elected and how her administration will deal with China. Our senior correspondent Anjo Alimario has details.
What can Filipinos expect in the first 100 days of a Leni Robredo presidency? To her, it's quite clear: to control the pandemic.
Focusing all our efforts on decreasing the number of COVID cases dramatically so we can fully reopen the economy. And to do this, we must realign the national budget so that it will be more akin to addressing the pandemic.
As the COVID-19 crisis overwhelms hospitals and health workers, Robredo vows to do better: empower the healthcare system and take care of frontliners. On declaring martial law amid the pandemic, Robredo sees no need for that. She says there are laws that can be used to help the country get through the crisis. Agriculture will also be one of her top priorities if elected. That's one of the reasons she points out why she chose Senator Francis Pangilinan as her running mate, given his advocacy on food security. The goal, she says, is to make sure the health crisis doesn't turn into a food crisis. On creating jobs, Robredo is quick to admit she won't overpromise. She says she doesn't subscribe to the false dichotomy of health versus economy.
One thing I can promise is I will make sure that my administration will inspire confidence as far as the business sector is concerned.
As to foreign policy, Robredo points out the Philippines will collaborate with China in areas where there's no conflict, such as trade. But when it comes to the West Philippine Sea, she says there will be no deal until China recognizes the arbitral ruling. The presidential hopeful reveals their Senate slate has already been finalized. 5 names have already been announced last week. Robredo says the rest will come from different parties. If elected, what kind of a president will she be? Robredo says one who's nurturing and empowering, one who thrives quietly yet decisively amidst adversity. Anjo Alimario, CNN Philippines.
Meanwhile, yet another presidential aspirant, Isko Moreno, takes back his words against Vice President Leni Robredo and anyone he might have offended with his recent remarks. Moreno earlier called the vice president a fake leader with a fake color. He was criticizing her for running as an independent bet, even if she is the current Liberal Party chair. Moreno jumped from the National Unity Party to Acción Democrático before the filing of candidacies. Speaking to CNN Philippines, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, who is seeking the vice presidency alongside Robredo, acknowledged Moreno's comments, saying now is not the time to go against each other.
Magandang development yon dahil sa totoo lang hindi naman ang tunay na kaaway natin hindi ang isa't isa. Hindi yung kapwa kababayan natin. Ang tunay na kaaway natin dito ay yung COVID, yung gutom. At dapat yun ang tinututukan ng debate. Paano ang masusolusyonan ang COVID? Paano mabibigyan ng manumbalik ang sigla ng ekonomiya para yung trabaho ng ating mga kababayan?
Some lawmakers are calling out political parties for taking advantage of the substitution option, but the Commission on Elections remains firm in keeping the provision. COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez tweeted that instead of banning withdrawals, restrictions should be introduced by Congress. He also admitted the option has been used as a strategy before, but that he sees the worth of the system. Senate President Tito Soto and Senator Coco Pimentel spoke out against the alleged abuse of this provision and pushed for its removal. Among those speculated to be placeholders until November 15 is presidential hopeful Senator Bato de la Rosa, who has expressed willingness to be substituted by Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte. When we return, something to watch out for sports fanatics out there, with the Philippines hosting another global league. And guess who's back with new music? A British superstar announces her first album in years. Details next. Keep it here on CNN Philippines. You're watching Newsnight. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Diversified conglomerate San Miguel Corporation hailed as top employer of the year at the 2021 Asia CEO Awards. The company bested other major conglomerates in the country across several criteria, including management achievement, workplace enhancement, talent development, and social commitment. In a video message, SMC President and CEO Ramon Ang emphasized the importance of instilling a deeper sense of purpose among employees in helping the firm overcome challenges and thrive amid the current business environment. Ang also reiterated their commitment to help the country towards recovery. Since March 2020, SMC has rolled out one of the largest private sector responses to the crisis, spending over 14 billion pesos for the country's frontliners and poorest communities. Now, shifting gears now, FIBA fans can expect to see the action happening right here in our own turf again next year. The Philippines is set to host the first two windows of Group A for the 2023 FIBA World Cup Asian qualifiers in February 2022. The first window was supposed to be held next month, but was moved because of the pandemic. 4 teams will play 8 games in a bubble environment for the February period. Gilas Pilipinas will go against South Korea twice and New Zealand and India once each. Now, actor William Shatner, or Captain Kirk to legions of Star Trek fans, did the unthinkable with his latest conquest. The 90-year-old icon just completed a real-life trip to space. CNN's Kristen Fisher tells us more about Captain Kirk's historic voyage.
Command engine start. 2, 1.
And with that, 90-year-old Star Trek icon William Shatner became the oldest person ever to travel to space. Shatner and 3 other passengers were propelled from the desert of West Texas to the edge of outer space aboard a New Shepard spacecraft developed by Jeff Bezos' rocket company, Blue Origin. It's the same spacecraft that took Bezos to space this summer. Bezos, a lifelong Star Trek fan, flew Shatner as a guest, along with Blue Origin executive Audrey Powers and 2 paying customers. The out-of-this-world adventure lasting just 10 minutes from takeoff to landing, Shatner and his crewmates experienced about 3 minutes of weightlessness before the capsule started its descent back to Earth.
And there go the drogue parachutes.
The flight livestream captured Shatner sharing his post-suborbital trip thoughts with his crewmates.
That was unlike anything they described.
After landing safely, a Blue Origin team secured the capsule, and Bezos himself did the honors. Cheers as each of the 4 passengers walked out of the capsule, including Captain Kirk himself.
Captain Kirk himself, the great William Shatner.
Shatner telling Bezos it all happened so quickly.
It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, you know, the little things of weightlessness. But to see the blue color go whoop by, and now you're staring into blackness.
Shatner clearly taken aback by the gravity of the moment.
It was so moving to me. This experience has been something unbelievable.
William, you've had one of the most, perhaps one of the most interesting lives that any human could possibly have. Where does this stack up on your list of life experiences?
This is enormous. I'm overwhelmed, and it takes more than a little thing to overwhelm me.
You said everybody in the world needs to see it. Why? What do we need to see?
Yeah, but it's not tourism. Everybody in the world needs to have the philosophical understanding of what we're doing to Earth, and and you hear this so often, the necessity of cleaning our Earth and stopping right now the apocalypse that's coming our way.
That was CNN's Kristen Fisher reporting. Fans earlier speculated Adele is releasing a new album named 30, patterned after previous albums entitled 19, 21, and 25. The pop icon finally confirmed these rumors through social media, along with the release date of November 19th. With nearly 6 years since her last album, Adele posted that she is finally ready to release her next one, called 30, at a time when she's never felt more peaceful in her life. The Grammy winner's brand new single, Easy on Me, also comes out Saturday morning. Now, a pair of previews, one for horror enthusiasts and the other for fans of John, Paul, George, and Ringo. Here's CNN's David Daniel with a Hollywood Minute.
But it's going to be such a comical thing, like in 50 years' time. They broke up because Yoko sat on an M.
documentary just grinding to a halt.
Grinding to a halt? I think it's taking off. Here we go.
Here's your first look at The Beatles Get Back. The Fab Four's recording sessions in January 1969, when the band was on the verge of breaking up, were filmed for a planned documentary. Instead, the footage was locked away for more than half a century. Now, filmmaker Peter Jackson has distilled nearly 60 hours of restored footage into a 3-part documentary, which premieres on Disney Plus November 25th, 26th, and 27th.
Hello?
Don't hang up.
Who are you?
You know all our names. You're getting out of here.
Doctor Strange and Sinister director Scott Derrickson returns to terror with The Black Phone, about a kidnapped boy who somehow gets help from his abductor's previous victims. Ethan Hawke plays the masked murderer in the horror thriller, which slips into theaters February 4th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
We still have 72 days before Christmas Day.
Kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Huy, noon sa man ka. Nagbugot lagi ka. Kabalon ako. Ikapoy ka no. Sakit imong lawas tungod sa sobrang trabaho? O sakit imong ulo tungod sa stress? Pahuway una. Ginhawag lawom, ug hiluta ang imong ulo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Kay mausab ni akong ginahimo. Maong akong taas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break sa
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy nakaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
Viva Nuestra Señora, la Virgen del Pilar. Greetings coming from Police Brigadier General Rolando Genaro E. Ilagan, Regional Director, Police Regional Office 9, Officers and Men.
O, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy nakaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
Got your 2-dose vaccination? Present your vaccination card and enjoy more and more perks for you. Free KCC bonus card membership or free KCC bonus card renewal. Get 100 peso shopping reward for your next shopping using your KCC bonus card to enjoy more choices at KCC department store. And wait, there's more from our KCC participating stores. Nakapabakuna na, panalo ka pa. Visit promo booth at basement level and KCC participating stores for more details. Vaccine win in KCC, kaya magpabakuna na.
Huy, noon sa man ka. Nagbugot lagi ka. Kabalon ako. Ikapoy ka no. Sakit imong lawas tungod sa sobrang trabaho? O sakit imong ulo tungod sa stress? Pahuway una. Ginhawag lawom, ug hiluta ang imong ulo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Kay mausab ni akong ginahimo. Maong akong taas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break sa
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy nakaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
RPN, Radio Philippines Network. Radyo Ronda. DXXX Zamboanga. Kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Let's talk about the Let's talk about the issues.
I know that the 2022 elections is a very important elections.
Dumating na tayo sa punto na hindi na natin kayang ipagsawalang bahala na lamang ang mga nangyayari sa ating gobyerno, sa ekonomiya.
The process.
If we delay the end of voter registration, it will also cause corresponding delays in all other preparatory activities.
The events of the past 6 years.
Yung mga pasanggano-sangganong sagot, nabili na yan, kumita na yan noong 2016.
The promises that were made.
Let me say clearly that those who betrayed the people's trust shall not go unpunished.
the candidates, their qualifications, background, and experience.
Di biro-biro ang mga pagsubok na haharapin ng susunod na administrasyon.
Hirap magsalita ngayon.
Everything is possible.
And the trust that needs to be earned. I'm Pia Ontiveros. This is Politics as Usual.
And we are back on air after a month-long hiatus, and we're on weekly. So let's meet here Tuesday evenings, 8:30 p.m. for your regular political appointment fix. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how hyped are you for the elections now that we just witnessed a parade of politicians filing their certificates of candidacy all week long last week? Of course, we know there may still be some dramatic shifts, changes of tsunami proportions, last-minute substitutions that the law allows to take place until November 15. So we will be waiting for a whole month, but this is what we know so far. This partial list of aspirants: Bato de la Rosa, Ping Lacson and Tito Soto, Bongbong Marcos, Isko Moreno and Doc Willie Ong, Manny Pacquiao and Lito Atienza, Leni Robredo and Kiko Pangilinan, and Bongo. What are the possibilities, the scenarios? Who should slide down, throw in the towel, go for broke, and why are there even placeholders? Now, for this first segment of the show, let's speak to a retired University of the Philippines professor of political science, Temi Rivera. Good evening, Professor Temi, and welcome to Politics as Usual. Well, let's begin with this. What do you think of all these matchups? Of course, you're going to be looking at all these through the lens of, like we said, a political science professor. All these matchups, Bato, Ping and Tito, Bongbong Marcos, wala pang running mate, Isko, Doc Willie, Manny Pacquiao, and Lito Atienza, Leni, Kiko, Bongo. What do you think of all of them and the team-ups so far?
Okay, I think we've basically seen the major players, those running for the presidency, in place, but with a major puzzle, no, unresolved puzzle hanggang ngayon, and that is the official candidate of the what we may call the Duterte camp, as represented by the Kusi faction of the PDP Laban, no? Now, of course, we all know that General De La Rosa, Bato De La Rosa, filed for the presidency, but most most observers do not believe that this is a serious candidacy. And since last-minute replacements are still possible up to November 15, it appears that General Senator De La Rosa is what we call a placeholder. And from the Duterte camp, I think the main option is still that of Mayor Sara, although we also know that as of today anyway, Mayor Sara has rejected all offers so far not to run for the presidency. Now, that creates quite a problem, because if Mayor all the public opinion surveys so far have shown Mayor Sara to be leading at this point, of course, in the campaign, although we should also point out that the last public opinion poll surveys in September did not yet reflect the formal candidacy of Vice President Leni Robredo and the extraordinary energy that she has shown in proclaiming her candidacy, which I believe has energized not only her core supporters, but many other people who have been long waiting for her candidacy. You know?
Professor, can you tell us more about your thoughts about Leni? You've said that she has a proven national electorate base because she's won. Well, of course, she's won as VP. Compared to the others on this list, some of them, well, one or two of them have run for national office for president, no? But President and VP. Pero iba pa rin ang experience ni Lenny.
Yes. Vice President Lenny has a number of strengths, of course, compared to the other candidates. I think one is among the declared candidates, she has shown a proven national electoral base and a one-on-one campaign in the vice presidency. And while it is true that Senators Ping Lacson and Manny Pacquiao and former Senator Bongbong also won in a national electoral contest, iba pa rin yung sa vice presidency compared with winning as one of the 12 senators. So it's possible, of course, one can argue that many, if not most of the voters of Lenny in 2016 are unlikely to vote for
Lenny together with Manny, Ping, and Isko to hopefully unite. But of course, that didn't.
Loyalty or identity sa atin, no? And which also leads,
That's right.
moreover, which further accentuates the already very
nagiging party
right,
power.
yeah.
I wish we had more time, but thank you so much, Professor Temi Rivera. Balik na lang po kayo, ha, sir? We'd love to speak to you again. Salamat po, sir.
Thank you, Pia. Okay.
Now, what do public relations experts and, veteran and retired advertising executives think of the initial list of aspirants and many more? Politics as usual. We'll find out after a short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to your regular political appointment. You're still watching Politics as Usual here on CNN Philippines. In this part of the show, veteran but retired advertising executive, an old friend, Yoli Ong, joining us. Yoli, hi. You don't look retired kasi nakapink ka.
Dahil lang sa kulay yan ng TV mo.
Ay, ganon. So naka-red ka pala. But anyway, well, Yoli, let's begin with this. Let's try and go very quickly, all of these. What do you think of all these matchups, all these presidential, vice presidential candidates? Yung mga seryoso, yung mga sa major political parties so far, in spite of the fact that you're wearing pink. So you set aside yung pink mo. Sige.
Hindi, pag 97 naman ang kandidato, Pia, ano pa naman ang iisipin mo kung hindi talagang it's a regular circus, di ba? Pagpalagay mo na yung anim lang ang ating mga seryosong kandidato talaga. Even six is too many. Ngayon, from an advertising point of view, parang yan, isipin mo, kung anim na shampoo ang naglalaban, ang hirap i-differentiate, di ba? Ano yung pipiliin mo kung pare-pareho ang sinasabi, kung pare-pareho ang ino-offer. But in this particular case, kaya nga ang parati kong sinasabi, may PhD ka sa marketing pag humawa ka ng political candidate. Because a product will not give you headaches kung meron silang nasabing mali o nagawang mali. Pero ang kandidato, pag hinahandle mo tapos may nagawang mali, nasabing mali, nahuling may ginagawang mali, yan. Diyan matitest ang iyong skills as a communications advisor.
Yeah. Yoli, at the moment, who has got the best packaging and the best messaging? I know it's too early in the game because we still have November 15 to contend with, no? Pero sa ngayon, tingin mo?
Alam mo, kung titignan mo lang ang advertising at hindi mo namang kilala, halimbawa hindi mo kilala yung mga personalities, advertising lang ang tignan mo. Ang from a professional point of view, maganda yung ads ni Isko, for example. Very well made, very well crafted. But you see, pag masyadong makinis din ang advertising mo, makukumpara yan pagka hindi na yung ad, pagka nag-a-adlib ka na, ika nga. So, sometimes, may backlash din yun. Kung masyadong makinis yung iyong advertising, pagkatapos pagka nahuli ka, inambush interview ka, lalabas yung totoong kalibre mo, no? Sa pagsasalita, sa pag-persuade sa audience, etc. So, from a professional point of view, there are really some very well-made ads. And some of them are Iskos.
Okay.
Must say.
Okay. So, and kung maganda yung ads ni Isko, sino naman who needs help among these 6?
Well, alam mo, yung iba hindi pa naman nag-a-ad eh. Di ba? Si Lenny, wala pang ad na nilalabas hanggang ngayon.
Pero she's all over social media.
Correct.
I mean,
these
because
are
her
all
supporters,
organic.
post about her all the time, no? So,
these were done by her supporters. Makikita mo authentic commitment yung mga supporters niya. So, nakakabilib rin yun. Because for me, I've been in advertising, so I can tell when the ad is very authentic. And that is super authentic. Yung mga ginagawa ng mga supporters niya, kasi alam ko wala pa siyang ginagawa kahit isa na talagang galing sa kampo niya. So lahat yan ginagawa ng mga supporters niya. And it's very, nakakagulat.
But of course,
talaga.
Pag organic supporters, volunteers, syempre you still need a very strong advertising person to put all of that together. Kasi hindi naman pwedeng parang kalat yung messaging, no? Iba-iba yung sinasabi. I mean, they're all for Lenny, pero kung ganon, tapos hindi siya well orchestrated, mahirap din, hindi ba?
Oo naman. Meron talagang, you can take the point of view of letting 1,000 flowers bloom, or you can take a more disciplined approach to communications. Sa ngayon, dahil ang dami-daming ang kandidato, kailangan talaga very clear ang iyong proposition. Ika nga, yun nga yung what will differentiate you from the rest. Of course, hindi lang naman advertising ang tinitignan eh. Tinitignan ng track record, tinitignan ng character, hindi ba? And on those two aspects alone, malaki na ang differentiation among the 6.
Yeah. Lenny, by November 15, yung deadline nga ng substitution, withdrawal, etc., what do you want to see? No? Do you want to see some of these 6 or so names sliding down or withdrawing their candidacies? Do you want to see a more united opposition? Ano ba yung, kumbaga, yung fearless forecast mo for November 15? Ano bang gusto mo makita?
Alam mo, Pia, I really wish na magkumonte at mag-consolidate, di ba? That's really the best thing that can happen. But if you look at history, wala pa naman tayong election na there has been less than 5 serious candidates. Tingnan mo, all the way from FVR, parating may 5 na kandidato. Hindi na kumonti yan ever. What I'd like to see is actually ang gusto kong makita talaga is shared ideologies, shared principles, shared beliefs na mag-team up. Kasi right now, puro personalidad ang ang ginagamit, no? It's all personality driven, and then papasok yung surveys, so yung numero is another aspect. Pero wala pa rin talagang nag-o-offer ng clear vision na anong gusto mong mangyari sa Pilipinas kung sakaling ikaw ang maging presidente. Yan ang hinahanap ko, at yan din sana ang kung halimbawa pareho ng vision ang dalawang kandidato, sana magsama sila para hindi ganun karami na alam mo naman na yung iba naman will just fall by the wayside. That always happens. Yung iba talaga exercise lang eh. It's an parang rehearsal. Rehearsal lang sa pagkampanya.
Dry run. But of course, well, we're all hoping, I guess, the same thing. Yoli Ong, thank you so much for joining us, and balik ka ha on the show. Maraming salamat. We'll be taking a short break. This is Politics as Usual on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. We're on the final stretch of Politics as Usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Now we speak with public relations practitioner Ron Habal of Page One, another old friend of mine. Ron, dati nagkasama na tayo sa House of Representatives, kaya sanay na tayo sa mga politiko, mga kongresista, alam na natin yon. But of course, like I said, no, PR is your expertise, and I'm sure you have a lot to say. So my first question is, what do you think of these matchups? Huwag na natin pag-usapan yung 90-plus candidates. Let's train our eyes on the top six. No, well, top six, the what we consider the serious contenders. And as far as you're concerned, who's got the best messaging and the best packaging so far? We know it's early on in the game because we have the November 15 deadline, but so far, what do you think?
Sa aming pananaw bilang PR practitioner, professional, no, it's very difficult to determine the rhyme and reason for some of the tandem, di ba? Kasi may mga tandem na hindi mo maintindihan bakit sila nag-tandem kasi hindi mo in-expect na silang magiging tandem. May, for instance, President and Vice President tandem na may pagkasulungat sa kanilang mga ideology or mga statements in the past. So hindi mo maintindihan, bakit sila ang nag-tandem ngayon? Meron din, titingnan mo na kung naniniwala ka sa numero at dapat maniwala ka, dapat ang tandem ay tamang-tama at swak na swak sila sa isa. Kung saan malakas yung isa, dapat doon naman sa kabila, yung kanyang katandem, yun ang dapat suportahan niya, yung kung saan mahina yung kanyang presidente o vice president. That's why may mga tandem na parang hindi masyadong pinag-isipan ng mabuti yung pagtatandem na yun. No? So yun yung nakikita kong parang kaiba dito sa pagtatandem na ito. Parang it's almost like a marriage of convenience, so to speak.
So are you hoping na may magbabago, na baka pwedeng yung iba mag-slide down, good luck na lang sa ego nila, parang gano'n, or yung iba mag-withdraw ng candidacy nila, or what? What are you hoping to see before November 15 or on November 15?
Given past experiences, parang taga sa bato, no? Pero syempre yung hope mo nandun pa rin. Kung mapapansin mo, yung pagkandidato ni Lenny at saka ni Vice President Lenny at saka ni Mayor Isko, parang hindi na yun magkakaayos, no? Pero hanggang ngayon, wala pa ring statement si Manny Pacquiao on whether unity is still possible. Wala tayo nakikita na sinasabi niya na nagkatapos na sila doon. So, hindi ko alam. So, nakikita natin may mga tandem na pwedeng magbago pa. Meron naman mga tandem na talagang parang joke-joke lang kasi sabi nga ng iba, placeholder, no? So, bench warmer, kung ano man. At nakikita natin na may mga pwedeng makalusot, di ba? Usong-uso naman sa term sa politika ang mga pwedeng madenggoy na naman tayo. May posibilidad na may pwede pang magbago by November 15.
Okay, so you're hoping for who to match to end up as a tandem? Can you be clearer, very clear on that?
I'm hoping that there will still be some people who will slide. provided they speak a little deeper in terms of winnability. Because sa election naman, hindi lang ang dapat tinitingnan ay hindi lang nakaka-appeal sa mga nakakaintindi. Sabi ko nga, dapat ang eleksyon tinitingnan yung botong nakakapagpaniwala o kaya yung botong nakakapagpapanalo. So sa PR, dapat tignan mo, alin ba yun? Anong mensahe, anong agenda yung pwede mong masabi sa mga tao na, uy, paniwalaan mo ako kasi ito yung agenda ko. Pero meron din dapat sinasabing mensahe na dapat appeals to the voters themselves. So, feeling ko may chance pang pwedeng mangyari.
Okay, and yung can you be clear? Sino yung tandem na gusto mo makita? Can you name them?
Sige, if I can name them, I think, well, because the Vice President Leni Robredo and Isko have already kind of like a little bit of a brick brat from time to time. So, if you also see the numbers, and I think based on the numbers that were given by Pulse Asia, crucial is if Senator Grace po endorses Leni, and Leni tandems with Manny Pacquiao, they have a big chance of competing with the Sara Bongbong Marcos tandem. So that is a big boost of numbers because pag makita mo ang numbers ni Senator Grace ko is still bigger than Vice President Leni. No? So if she can transfer some of the votes and then they can join because Manny Pacquiao is very, very big in the E sector and Leni is also big in that one, but she needs some pull from the ABC, which Senator Grace has. So if that is possible, then there seems some hope there.
Yeah, well, you haven't talked about, and we have 30 seconds to go. You haven't talked much about Bongbong Marcos.
Well, Bongbong Marcos has been campaigning since 2016. He's been cleaning up his image. And in fact, if you ask me, unfortunately, he's the best. He has the best campaign so far because a lot of the people have actually forgotten already what they've done in the past. And you just have to see some of the TikTok videos, of the social media videos, very polished. And that's why the numbers are there. Because how can you explain the high numbers if people kind of like remember what they did in the past? And because Bongbong Marcos he's been preparing. So if Bongbong pairs up with Mayor Sara Duterte, that is a very difficult to beat tandem.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the show, Politics as Usual. Ron Habal, like I told Yoli and Professor Tammy, balik ka ha. Salamat. We've been told before, don't talk politics at the dinner table or the family reunion or in Viber groups even, and risk digital warfare. But we can talk about it here on this show, your weekly political appointment fix, Politics as Usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros. See you back here next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m.